Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services in Eastland, Texas. Tune in every week as we share important information to help you and your family live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, legacy and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
Welcome into Life Planning 101. My name is Angela Robinson with Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services out of the thriving metropolis of Eastland, Texas, where we help people live life on purpose and have been doing so since 1989. I tell you what, it is truly an honor to be able to help generation after generation. And I mean literally, we've been so blessed to be able to work with kids of the families that we first served and even their kids. And we're even getting over into that fourth generation in some places. It's absolutely amazing. And so today's show, I want to talk to 18-year-olds, but I also want you parents and grandparents that are intricately involved in those 18-year-olds' lives to be listening to this show as well. Because what I've noticed is there are a lot of things that you need to know at 18 that you just simply don't know. And here you are. Graduation season is over. They're launching that new phase of life. They're leaving that nest, and some of you are now empty nesters and you're probably just taking a big vacation. But nonetheless, it is a change. It's a huge change. It's adulthood. It's actually when adulting begins, even if, said graduate really isn't paying all the bills and truly completely adulting. But by law, it's kind of unavoidable. Adulting is 18 years old in most cases. I mean, it's when you can join the military. It's when you can have your own bank account with someone else not signing for you on there. And there's definitely some things that you need to go into this world with eyes wide open, and I'm going to tell you this story, but I do it with all humility because my dad worked so hard growing up, but I had no idea what a tax return was when I was 18 years old. Yes, me. And I think it's really big reality to see that kids really don't know how to necessarily take care of a car. They don't know what insurance is or why they need it. They don't know about a savings account, or, they get all these credit card offers coming in and they hurt their credit. I was actually one of those. I got a shop card. I think it was from some shop in the mall. And I moved 3 months later, completely forgot I did the shop card whatsoever, and it hurt my credit right out of school. There's things that happen to 18-year-olds every single day that are extremely important. And I think it's imperative that as parents, we try to help them with their financial literacy as much as possible. But I want to speak to 5 things that even you as a parent that have been through it may not have thought about. You might know these things, but you may not have thought about these things because they're truly, in my opinion, some of the biggest things that you do need to know at 18. Obviously, I'm not telling you that your tax return and paying your taxes is not important. It is. Uncle Sam kind of gets upset when you don't do that. So you have to think about that. But these are things that, we've just come across that, as we're talking with people that have young children or grandchildren that they're intricately involved in their lives, we're giving them the advice to be able to do that. So the first of which is gaining access to medical information for your child or being able to make medical decisions. I think this is one of those moments in life as a mother, you're like, oh, my baby. Because at 18, you can't automatically make medical decisions for your child. And you can't automatically receive information about your child's medical history or their conditions. So this could be a huge problem. If your child's in a car accident or is unable to make medical decisions for him or herself, what do you need to have in place? Well, it's no different than what you need to have in place. You need a medical power of attorney. And you need it with HIPAA privileges, meaning that they can release information. A medical power of attorney that doesn't have HIPAA privileges doesn't give you a lot to go off of because a doctor can give you the choice to make medical decisions, but they can't tell you everything going on with the patient. They're kind of a problem. So they go hand in hand. And so your 18-year-old definitely needs a medical power of attorney with HIPAA privileges. Now, here's the other thing. They don't have to pick you. It's their medical power of attorney. But I do think they need to be educated. So a lot of times we'll sit down with that next generation, we'll talk to them, and maybe they're scared. Maybe they're doing something they probably shouldn't be doing. So they're concerned about having mom or dad on there, but they don't understand the ramifications that if they were to choose their friend to make their medical decisions, how big that could actually be. So a lot of times it's just an educational piece that needs to be had. And it's very important to do it. Parents, I say pay for this for your children. You need to get it done. An 18-year-old, they're not going to do it. They don't understand the importance of it until it would be too late. It's really for you to be able to have a peace of mind that you can continue to do what you've always done if they choose you as that medical power of attorney. Hugely important. Number 2, likewise, your financial information becomes private at 18. And the same way that you need that medical power of attorney, you also need that financial power of attorney. Usually that's what's called a durable power of attorney. There's other types of financial powers of attorney, but usually the one that we most see advised is a durable power of attorney for a few reasons. First and foremost, there's no triggering or there's no have to go to a court to get it enacted or anything like that. But I think it's important that, as parents, you understand that being a parent no longer gives you the power to help with things financially that if a child cannot. You can't just call up their bill companies and talk to them. You can't just call up their loan companies and talk to them. You can't just take over their phone bill if you're not already paying for it. And you can't access their bank accounts that they have without you on those bank accounts, which I would say that you probably don't need to be on those bank accounts. That holds up. It's a whole nother can of worms of liability issues. So you definitely don't want to go down that road. You need a better way to do it. And a durable power of attorney is often the answer in that case. So there's the top 2. Number 1, I say top 2. They really aren't the top 2. They're the first 2 in this segment of Life Planning 101. Get a medical power of attorney. Get a financial power of attorney if you're 18 years old. You've got to have them. Okay? So I want to switch gears a minute, and I want to talk about credit. As I mentioned, I told on myself at the beginning of the show, I didn't really understand credit. Not that I didn't forget all about that, but the reality is I didn't have a clue what it meant. My dad told me my whole life, you got 3 things in life and you only get them one time: your name, your word, and a credit. You ever do wrong to any of those 3 things, it's really hard to get them back, if ever. And I always understood that, heard that, but I didn't really understand what it meant to have good credit. And I guarantee you most 18-year-olds do not understand what it means to have good credit. And when I say good credit, I actually mean excellent credit. You need to have excellent credit, because if the difference between excellent credit and bad credit could save you, 6 figures over your lifetime, maybe even more, depending on your lifestyle. But for the average person, even 6 figures. Think of that. Okay, because your credit, having good credit, affects everything from getting approved for a loan that you want, your interest payments, to car insurance premiums. Yes, it affects your car insurance premiums, and even job acceptances. In our industry, we have to run credit, and we look at a credit report, and if someone has had a bad credit history, that could be a real issue, and they could potentially be declined to be hired in this industry. Yeah. So be a sponge, learn as much as you can on how to build good credit and keep good credit. A lot of people think, well, if I just pay my bills, I'll have good credit. No. Or if I never have a credit card, I'll have good credit. Wrong. You have to use it or you won't have it. And you have to use it in a certain way. There's a 3-legged stool that is talked about, and what I'm going to suggest that you use to start building your credit, which is 7 steps to 720. They even have a program for young people to start building credit and actually go through a credit education course in the process. But you've got to build that 3-legged stool, which starts with, having revolving lines of credit and being able to pay those bills on time and not carrying too much on that revolving line of credit, to having installment credit, which like car loans or you buy a fridge or something like that, to having the mortgage, which is the toughest thing to get for a young person. And they have to build up to it. So in other words, they've got to make the other 2 legs of that credit stool extremely strong to be able to get a good interest rate or they just marry someone else with good credit. No, I'm kidding. I am totally kidding. You need good credit. In fact, we talk about this all the time with widows. The unfortunate thing is we see a lot that maybe someone put all the things that they needed to have on credit in one spouse's name, so the other one never built credit. Well, that's a big problem altogether. So it's extremely important that you work on credit, you understand how it works. And again, I would recommend 7 Steps to 720. We are going to have this outlined, by the way, in an article this week in our weekly life lessons. So you can go to our website, www.kennedy-financial.com. If you're not already signed up for our newsletter, or you can go to the newsletter itself and you'll see this coined article there. It's got a link straight into that. We also have the Credit Rebuilder course on our website for those of you that may not have the best credit and maybe you need to revamp it. So highly suggest that you get up to speed on that. Number 4, it's easy to live in the here and now, especially when you're 18 and you don't know what you want to do with your life and your career. I mean, it's kind of overwhelming. You think about it. You move out of your house, now you have all these bills and you got all this independence, which is great. And it's this flood of emotions, and it is the here and the now, and it is exciting. And maybe you're going into college, or you're doing a trade school, or you're rooming with friends and balancing, learning to create some life balances and to make healthy choices. And there's all these things that are coming at you like the floodgates. Even as an adult, it's easy to live in the here and now. I'm telling you, I'm raising 2 young boys and we run 90 miles an hour all the time. But the reality is that if you do that, if you choose to not stop and determine really where you're headed, in other words, think about your future, look out there a little ways, decide what you want to do with your life and your career, and keep your compass pointed towards that, that could cost you so greatly over your lifetime. And I'm not talking about partying too much, okay? That is not for I am not even going to go there on Life Planning 101. What I'm talking about is I see a lot of kids not know what they want to do at 18 years old. And so they just go to college, and they just decide to pick a degree in this, and they just go down that path. And I would highly suggest that you do a little bit more homework than that. I even had a conversation with my 12-year-old last year. He was talking about, at one time he wanted to own an ice cream shop. The next thing he says, I see you and Dad running a business. It's a lot of hard work. I think I'm just going to work at an ice cream shop. And I said, well, okay. I said, well, why don't you open up, Google there and figure out what the average ice cream shop maker makes. And he's figured it up. I think it was like $15 an hour or something. And we had just got done Costco and then the feed store. And so I had those receipts handy and I handed them to him, and he was looking at those and he looked at what he'd make per hour. He goes, that's not going to work at all. And that is true. It is so true. Yet we don't look at life like that. Unfortunately, we don't think purposely about what we really want with our life. We think about our career first. And I would suggest that you look at your life first. Figure out how far a dollar can go, what you really want out of life, and the budget that it's going to take you to live that life. And at the end of the day, if you decide, for example, that you want to be a teacher, because God bless them, I think we need to have more of them. And I'm going to tell you, these states that are working on getting 6-figure incomes for teachers, amen to that. Amen. Because these are the people raising our kids for our future, and they need it. But in the meantime, they're like some of the lowest paid people out there, right? And if you at least know what you're giving up, what you're saying, okay, this is the lifestyle I want, but I want to be this is more important to me. And then you can build out your future based on that. That's a very healthy choice, rather than I want to be a teacher. And then you think you want to be a teacher, and you get a little bit down the road and you figure out, oh my gosh, this doesn't make money. And I think I would have rather be a veterinarian. And now to go back and to do all this, it costs you 10 years and money and everything else. Wow, right? This happens all the time. It happens all the time. So it is imperative, in my opinion, that you understand how different education and career paths will set you on significantly different financial tracks. And then you compare that to what you want out of your life's goals. I mean, it's living life on purpose. We always look at, what do you want to do? We ask that question to an 18-year-old. What do you want to do? Well, what are we really asking them? Are we asking them what they want to do for a career? Or are we asking them what they want to do for their life's journey? I think the latter is a little bit more important, but yet we focus on the career. So maybe start a little bit different and do your research, do your homework, make sure you're setting on the right path so that you won't be negatively surprised in a decade and having to reinvent yourself at a significant cost. All right, so we've been through the first 4 here. Now, the last one. Now, this one may be the most important. I don't know. They're all important. They're really all important. I mean, what we just talked about is living life on purpose, right? But number 5, invest in yourself. I'm going to tell you this. No one graduates with enough financial literacy these days. Yet, financial literacy is like oxygen. You're going to have it or you're going to die financially. You are going to pay for it, literally. For example, if you start today by paying yourself first, and we always talk about this, by the way, you need to pay yourself first, because who's going to be the young person that's going to take care of the old person that you're going to be someday? Do you want to rely on that for your kids and your grandkids, or do you want to do it for yourself? Because you're young and you have the option to do it for yourself. So if you start by paying yourself first today, you are going to significantly reduce your risk of ever being broke. Too many people, okay? And I see this is families starting out, marriages, young people, whatever. They do things in reverse, okay? They get this apartment. They have these car payments. They have this childcare. They have all these obligations that they have built in. And then they try to scrimp and save what's little left in their budget and put that back. But what if you learned every dollar that you took in to put back 20% of that and invest it for your future? What if you started that habit today to learn to live off of 80% of whatever you make, no matter if it's today when you're making $20 an hour? That's pretty healthy, by the way. I remember when I think $2.17 was what I got paid as a waitress per hour. I did have my tips, but yeah, $2.17. I think minimum wage back then was in the $5. But you see a lot of places paying $15, $20 an hour. So whether you're making that or whether you're making $1 million a year, imagine what your life would be in the future if you learned to live off of 80% of everything you had. You just act like it wasn't even there. So in other words, when you go to hunt for that apartment and pick out that car and that car payment that you want, then you have 80% of what you did have for a budget to be able to do it. So your obligations are okay. They aren't crushing your future. Learn to live on the rest. Invest in yourself first and learn to live on the rest. It's so important. And if you do that at 18, it's going to be easy to do it at 30. And if you wait until you're 30 to try, well, good luck, because obligations have consumed your budget and now you're going to be making excuses and blame and tell me every single reason that you can't do it. And I'm going to say, well, you could either downsize your house or drive something less expensive. You don't want to hear those things. Nobody does. So learn to live off of 80% of what you make and invest the rest. And that's just one piece of financial literacy that is so important. There's so many out there that you need to be thinking about. So many things you need to be doing. So, get on our podcast, listen to our podcast, get on some, commentaries and just look up some things about how to get yourself financially literate. And that way, how to live life and how to make good decisions. Budgeting, again, kind of goes back to that, putting that 20% back for yourself is so important, so important. Yet for some reason, we don't put that as a priority in our schools. So you're 18 years old. Nobody's going to do it for you anymore. Nobody's going to make up for you. It's on you to pave the way for the rest of your life. So invest in yourself. It's important. My name is Angela Robinson with Smart Money Group, Kennedy Financial Services. God bless you. If you're 18 and you're listening to this, you got this. You got this. I pray for your wisdom and your focus In Jesus' name. And join us right here next week on Life Planning 101.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services. If you have questions, you can email them to lifeplanning@kennedy-financial.com. Don't forget to learn how our sister company can assist you with all of your tax and consulting needs. You can find out more at briscoeandassociates.com. Be sure to tune in next week for more Life Planning 101. The opinions expressed herein are those of the firm and are subject to change without notice. The opinions referenced are as of the date of publication and are subject to change due to changes in the market or economic conditions and may not necessarily come to pass. Any opinions, projections, or forward-looking statements expressed herein are solely those of the author, may differ from the views or opinions expressed by other areas of the firm, and are only for general informational purposes as of the date indicated. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Smart Money Group LLC. Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group LLC are separate entities and are not owned or controlled by Calton & Associates Incorporated.